Hey everybody, Rena Wren here. In today's video, I will talk to you about teaching a yin yoga class with no props, immunity-based, immunity boosting, and kind of avoiding the germ situation as much as possible in light of the coronavirus. I'm getting tons and tons of questions about this, so I wanted to jump on here and give you a quick video. So the first thing to say is you might consider not teaching group classes right now, just until we kind of see what else is going on. This really depends on where you are. And if you're in an area where there's no outbreak and you feel comfortable teaching group classes, then definitely I'm not on the, panic mode, but it's just, you need to have some inquiry into that. And also look at what your country's directives are, your local directives, like is anybody saying there's a distance that has to be between people and things like that. So you really want to think about that before you do this. But let's say all things considered, you're going to teach a class and you're at a studio where there are no props or you're being restricted from using props because there's a potential of contamination. So first, I want to let you know that I do have a sequence that I share with people sometimes that is just yin yoga with no props that you can use, like if you're teaching at a park or a church or community center or something like that where you may not have access to props. So I'll share that in the description below. And then also I created a sequence today specifically for this issue, and I'll share that link as well. And I will also share in the description of that video the poses that I put in there and how you can link those together. And then also a meditation that I will share in that video of that sequence that I was given permission to use from Benjamin Decker and Jennifer Sedini. And it's wonderful. It is really, it's just really calming, and I used it in my class last night. So when we're talking about this immunity issue in general, like I said, consider how much distance there can be between people. When you're teaching a yin yoga class, if you have the opportunity to have everyone at a wall, that would be great. I did some of that last night. If you don't know how to teach wall yin yoga, then go to yinyoga.com and you can find, I think the PDF version of Bernie's book is still there. If not, it's in the yin yoga, it's in Yin Sites, it's in his complete guide to yin yoga. It's in the revised edition of Complete Guide to Yin Yoga. It's basically like how to use the wall for yin yoga. There's not a lot of props, really no props involved there. You can totally use the wall. And you could either use that sequence or create a sequence around that. And that's kind of what I did last night. Last night I taught basically like my last public class that I'm going to teach for a while, just until we get more information and things kind of settle down a bit. So if you have a wall and you want to do that, use that. If you're like, I don't know what this yin yoga book is and you want tips on that, let me know. I'll do a separate video on that. And then the main thing I want you to think about is like, use your brain. How can you do your yin yoga postures and target the same tissues in a similar way without having your face on the mat or really close to the mat, without having your hands touching your feet, your hands touching your face, and things like that? Just basically like, how can you avoid a lot of things we do in yin yoga? Can you flip it on a different axis? So it's really just common sense. It's a lot of things we do in yin yoga anyway, but mainly thinking about where your hands are touching, that your feet may have been. So if you think about it, you're barefooted in a yoga studio, and although we keep things as clean as we can, you're walking across the floor, and then you're stepping on your mat, and then you're putting your hands on your mat. And then if you're doing something where your hands come near your face or on your face, then there can be transfer there. If your hands are touching your feet that have been on the floor, and then you're doing something where your hands touch the mat, and then your hands are coming close to your face or on your face, just think about these things. It's really not that complicated. You just have to put some thought into it. So here's a few examples. Child's pose. Instead of going all the way down to the mat and putting your face near the floor or right on the mat, do it with the forearms. Do it on your forearms. Maybe if you're gonna hold your head in your hands, maybe do it here, do it here. Just avoid touching your face. Avoid touching your face to the mat where your feet may have been, and also where your hands may have been after touching a place where your feet have been. Seems like common sense, but I'm getting a lot of questions about this, so really want to go over this. Dangling pose is another one. So you're folding forward, but you can keep the hands off the floor by holding elbows. If you have people that you're thinking, oh, they can't really do dangling because they can't do the forward fold, think outside the box. Bend the knees a lot, put the hands on the thighs, put the elbows on the thighs, let the head hang. That can still work. Squat is another good one. And if you know you have people that can't do squat or don't like to do squat without a prop, you can put them in goddess briefly. You can have them against a wall doing goddess, which is a lot gentler in terms of, you know, not having to use the muscles as much. You could put them in a squat against the wall. If you're using the wall, you can have like legs up the wall, bend the knees, and that's a version of squat on the wall. That's also in Bernie's book. Or you could have them on their back, hugging almost like an upside down child's pose, or even happy baby. Just, I would reach behind the thighs instead of hands on the feet. You could do Janu Shirshasana or half butterfly in yin yoga, and just tent the fingers, put them on the floor, and just round a little bit. So basically the arms are props, the hands, the fingertips, even the forearms. So that's an option. Incorporate some other things in. So when you're doing seated postures, do a side lean, breathe, hold it there, do a twist. So you could do that on each side, and that takes up some time. And it's really important during this time to get that length in the torso so that we're not like this kind of sinking and rounding forward, that we're lifting the chest. And the side bends are really good, especially too for just channel clearing. And toe stretch is another one you can do. You don't really need props for that. Students can come to hands and knees and take the hips back to the point that feels comfortable for them. If you're not a yin yoga teacher, some of this may not make sense to you. So specifically for yoga teachers or students who are kind of versed already in yin yoga. And reclined pigeon is another one, reclined figure four. So instead of doing pigeon where the face might be on the floor, the hands like really close to the face, flip it on the back, do reclined figure four. You can do seated camel. So you're just sitting in easy pose, hands are reaching behind, and you're just getting the mainly opening in the thoracic. So similar to how we would do Sphinx. So you're getting a similar motion there. So those are just some examples. Most of these are in this sequence that I've been talking about. So keep an eye out for that. And if you have any questions, you can find me at renawren.com. Fill out the contact page there. I'd be happy to talk to you. Hope this has been helpful today. Have a great day.